Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Jack C99. Yep, that's my name. Make sure to like and subscribe, it makes every video possible, and remember to turn notifications on so that it notifies you when I upload a video in any day of the week when I do upload. So we're going to get into this video real quick. It is going to be ranking the Scottish Premiership stadiums from 12 to 1, because that's how I do it. It's the same as how I've done the Scottish Premiership predictions for this season. So we're going to crank into this and get right into it. So let's go. Right, so number 12 we have Ross County, Dingwall. Yep, it is that stadium, guys. What can I say about that? Well, one thing's first, it's one of the most difficult stadiums to travel to. It takes ages to get there. And to be quite honest with you, it's not a very good stadium in my opinion. It's still very old. They've not really done any redevelopment of Ross County Stadium yet. It's been the same stadium as much as I remember it. It could do a revamp if you ask me. The away stand is one that I want to really talk about. It looks like when you've got away fans in the away end at Ross County, it's like it's squashed up like that in the away stand. It doesn't look very comfortable in my opinion, but when is it ever a comfy away end at Ross County? Not really, because I've seen when Hibs are there, Hearts, Celtic, Rangers are in that away end, it's like the tiniest, narrowest away stand I've ever seen in Scottish football. Surface usually at Ross County is really bad, especially on wet days. When it's been raining, it's like puddles everywhere, so it's not the best of places to go if you're playing them, and the stadium is horrific. Like, it's really horrible and probably one of the worst stadiums in the Premiership in my opinion. Number 11, we're going with Tony Macaroni Arena, and there's going to be a lot of negative stuff about the Livingston Stadium. Starting off with the playing surface, Astro. An Astro playing surface in the Scottish Premiership. Livingston, are you mad? Because it's no like the Kilmarnock playing surface, it's basically the exact opposite. It's an Astro with the horrible black dot things, like seeds or something like that, in the surface as well. So it looks pretty bad. The stadium itself looks strange. Like, it just, that's the only word I can use to describe it. Strange. Because you've got a whole stand that curves around like that, and I think it curves around the other way as well. I think it's like a sort of an oval. So, like, there's ways to describe the Tony Macaroni Arena, there's ways not to, considering it's got the smallest fan base in the world, because Livingston only have about 20 fans that support the local team anyway, so it's pretty embarrassing. Because then when you've got the likes of Hibernian and Celtic, Rangers, Hearts and all that travelling to their stadium, they take up pretty much the most of that stadium, like the entire stadium just about. So it's pretty embarrassing. Why have a stadium that big if it's going to be the away opposition that gets most of the tickets for that game? So it's pretty embarrassing. It's not the best environments. Tony Macaroni Arena, it's no a stadium that I would recommend going to, in my opinion. Number 10, we have St Johnstone. St Johnstone, a stadium that's got 3 different colour coordinate seats in the stadium: red, amber and blue, when St Johnstone are just blue. So I didn't quite get why St Johnstone have got, it's like a flag colour that's like basically red, amber, blue, and it looks weird. St Johnstone are blue and white, so why can't St Johnstone just make their stadium look like blue and white? And the playing surface at St Johnstone as well, I have to hold my hands up here. It is really bad. Even although they get a new pitch, it gets damaged very quickly. So whether it's just cheap grass or I don't know, another club that have to cut back their finances as well, and still don't have a decent manager either. St Johnstone. So St Johnstone Stadium is McDiarmid Park, and it is getting a pretty old stadium again as well in Perth, so I'm surprised they've not done anything with their stadium yet in the Scottish Premiership. Haven't really redeveloped one of the stands or tried to up their game a bit, because it is a stadium that could do with a look and say, right, we need to demolish this part of the stadium and that part, and just gradually do it, because the only stadiums, let's face it, that have actually done it in the Scottish Premiership over the years have been Hibernian, Tynecastle, Ibrox and Celtic. Next up we have number 9, and number 9 is going to be Fir Park, believe it or not. A strange stadium to talk about, because you're looking at, I think it's the main stand at Fir Park. It's like what they've done, they've built it, but then it's like they've not finished it, because there's a bit of the roof that goes along, but there's nothing there. But then the seats in the main stand are like how Easter Road's East Stand, old, because if any Hibs fans remember the old East Stand at Easter Road, where it was just the flat seats, just the round flat seat, and you just sit down, that's what they've got in the main stand. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, a strange stand to have seats like that, same as the old East Stand Hibernian Stadium used to have. Their seats in the main stand are more just like flat oval ones, but they've got like holes through them as well, so it looks really weird seating and doesn't look very comfortable. But what can you do to oppress yourself? I mean, Motherwell Stadium doesn't have that many normal seats, like apart from the away stand, they have normal seats. The other two stands I think have alright seats, but it's the main stand seats that could do a bit of a refurb in my opinion, and a more upgradable seat in my opinion, but probably finances to blame for that at Motherwell, I don't know. But it's not a stadium that I would recommend to be in the top 6 at all. Up next we have 8th place, and I am going to go with Rugby Park. The two stadiums. I mean, it's another plastic pitch, artificial turf, and you know what artificial turf does to football players. It causes too many injuries, it causes too much football injuries throughout the season, and it's a high risk of a playing surface to have in the Scottish Premiership. The only teams that should have a plastic playing field as in artificial turf should be like the Lowland League or Scottish League 1 and League 2 at the most, that's it. But then as soon as you reach Championship, Scottish Premiership, no. Well, Championship, fair enough, but Scottish Premiership, no, because that's a high league in the Scottish Premiership. You can't have Scottish Lowland League, Scottish League 1 and 2 and Scottish Championship type playing surfaces. It's just embarrassing. 7, and the famous 7-0 that we done to Hearts. Right, so 7th place I am going to go with St Mirren. Paisley, the Paisley team that are still unbeaten in the Scottish Premiership. Ha ha ha, very funny. What can we say about their stadium? Well, a bit of both. Yes, it is an embarrassment. Yes, it's quite an old stadium. Again, yes, it's a stadium that needs improving. It's a stadium that, well, let's face it, looks one of the weirdest stadiums in Scottish football, with the JD sponsor on the see-through screens on the stadium, probably just a sports sponsor, I don't know. The pitch and stuff like that, it's not really a good pitch at Paisley. What can, like St Mirren Stadium, right? I'm not going to lie, it is a dump. It is another stadium that's just like, what is this stadium? Like when you see it on the TV, you're like, it's not that bad. But when you see pictures of Paisley, or if you're driving past Paisley, you're like, that's the St Mirren Stadium. Oh my god, that is horrible. You know, like they have had major developments on the stadium, which haven't been really big ones. So it's like to improve the stadium. To be honest, it is a stadium that isn't worth really that much talking about, but it is an embarrassment of a stadium. And to be honest with you, that's why I've put it seventh, because that's the best place for it, to be honest. And it's not a stadium that would be in my top 6 choices. Number 6, and number 6 is going to be what is number 6 going to be? I'm going to go with Pittodrie Stadium, which is a stadium that is meant to be getting a brand new stadium, I think. Can't remember where the development's taking place, but it will only be called Pittodrie. I know that it'll be called something else, because I know that Pittodrie Stadium is old and it's been Aberdeen's home for ever since they were a club, technically. And basically, I know that Aberdeen did have plans to build a new stadium elsewhere in Aberdeen, which includes a housing development as well. So I know that that's going to be happening, but I don't know if the construction started on the Aberdeen stadium yet. But I will show you a picture of what the new stadium will look like at Aberdeen. Moment they're at Pittodrie, and to be honest, Pittodrie's still doing them good favours. I wouldn't say it's a really bad stadium. It's alright. The only stadium that is really old is their main stand. That's the only one that's old, but it's still a stadium that is still standing, and it is still a really good stadium for Scottish Premiership games and, well, their Europa Conference League nights while they're still in their group stages. Aberdeen are a good club, I will say that, but they have had their ups and downs, but it is a good playing surface at Aberdeen. It isn't rubbish or basically a tatty field like the teams that I previously mentioned, but Aberdeen keep their pitch looking good no matter what it is. But it is a good stadium. I mean, yes, bright red cheers for Aberdeen because that's their colours, but it is a good stadium, and all I can say is that respect to the club. So up next, guys, we have number 5, and I am going to go with Tynecastle Park. Oops. But yes, I'm going to go with Tynecastle Park in Tynecastle Park. As Hibs fans would say, bus shelter. Which is where Hibs will be playing this weekend for the first Edinburgh Derby of the season. As my dad would say, yes, hearts are skint. They're no really a club with money. They're skint. They're always calling for Anne Budge and the board to get out their club. And to be honest with you, right, yeah, they spent all that money on a main stand, considering their main stand was an utter dump of a stand, and it was a shithole. Tynecastle still is a shithole, by the way, and I'm sure a lot of Hibs fans will agree with me on that. To me, the Roseburn stand, which is a away stand, that needs razed to the ground, because for what I've heard from a few Hibs fans, every time you're bouncing and celebrating in it, you can feel the stadium vibrating because of how old the stadium is, because of how old the Roseburn stand is, the Wheatfield stand and the other stand, the 3 that look like bus shelters. Now, come on, the Gorgie stand, sorry, my mistake, but they 3 stands are ancient. I'm surprised they've no went and said, right, we need to demolish the A3 and get new stands matching the new main stand. But obviously they've still got the 3 old stands still standing there that have been standing there since, well, when they got built. So pretty embarrassing. They haven't really improved the stadium apart from, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, they took the old grey frames down, painted them white, that was it, and added new floodlight lighting, and that was it. New bulbs to the lights, that was it. Or hybrid pitch, which hasn't really done them any favours because they're still poor, and they're skint because they are. It's the truth. And it is probably the 5th best stadium. Well, I wouldn't say the 5th best, but the 5th stadium that is really bad in Scottish football. And sorry, yeah, it's in my top 6, but it's in the top 5. To number 4, which is going to be Dens Park. Yes, that's a shocker. Why would I put that there? Well, I'm one for football, and I do like stadiums that have still the old classical buildings in their stadium where you go through the old. Because I remember watching a YouTuber, I think it was Thogden. They went to a Dundee derby, and it was Thogdad talking about going through the old tunnel to get to your seats in Dens Park, and just seeing how old it was. It was really good. It was very historic, and even though it's a really old stadium, it's still good. And when you see it on the TV and you see that old stand, it still looks brilliant because it reminds me of the old West Stand at Easter Road. They built the new main stand at Easter Road have now. So that's what I like about football, still seeing the old classical historic football stadium still exists, like basically in Scottish Premiership. They want to keep that, that's up to them. It still fits in, it still looks amazing, and it's still really, really good. And a really good stadium and a really good pitch as well. And what I'm going to show you right now is the new Dundee Stadium that is meant to be getting built. I don't know the exact year, but here's a photo of that now. Yes, so I don't know when that's getting built, but that is meant to be a redevelopment that's meant to be happening. I would be sad to see the historic Dundee Stadium go because it is a really classical stadium and it is still a really good stadium. Right, so now we're into the top 3. And in 3rd place, I am so sorry, Rangers fans, but I'm going to have to put Ibrox, I'm sorry. That's a sore one, but not really because I'm a Hibs fan. So yeah, basically in 3rd place, Ibrox. Why do I hate Ibrox? Well, I feel bad for when Hibs fans go through there because every time they're there, or any other away fans that go there, Rangers fans end up getting carried away, Rangers fans, because I'll tell you why. You're either getting hit in the head with a pound coin, or as Motherwell YouTuber Gogsy99 would say, when he was at Rangers away, a Buckfast bottle got thrown right where he was standing and smashed right behind him. I'm not talking about right behind him, I'm talking about right behind where his ankles were. Yeah, that is literally petrifying in my opinion, because if that was me, I would be out. I'd be like, see you later, I'm not coming back here. But yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why Rangers do it, but I'm sure we all know why they do it. It's not nice. You shouldn't really need to do that to away fans. You're there to enjoy watching your team play. It's a rough environment, Ibrox. I've never been, I never would want to go after what I've heard what happens to the away fans there, and I have seen it on the TV what happens there, so no. So yes, 3rd place for Ibrox. So we have 2nd, and I am going with Celtic Park. Celtic Park, right. Let me explain. When you're at a Celtic game, you don't want to be going to sit in the away end with a big massive pole right in your eye line when you're trying to watch the game. Now, yeah, that is pretty embarrassing because that is your view at Celtic Park away end. So yeah, it's a horrible away end in my opinion. It's terrible, really bad, horrendous. Don't like it. And you feel bad on fans when they're there as well because look, you're staring at a pole in your view. I think what you need to do with that pole, cut it off and take it away so that you can actually see. The whole point in a stadium is now you have the ancient poles in your road. You can't see, boom, have a stadium where there's no poles in your road because there's barely any stadiums in the Scottish Premiership that have poles in the way, and that's your view basically. So yeah, pretty embarrassing, and again, not a nice away day in my opinion either. To my first place stadium ranked, and that is, well, come on, it's obvious, isn't it? Hibs fans. It's Hibernian Football Stadium. One of the best stadiums in the world, always has been ever since Hibs were a football club, since 1875, yes. I've seen many transformations in Easter Road Football Stadium. Has became a really good stadium, and I've got to admit there's been some really good pictures in Easter Road over the years as well. The old East Stand, the old West Stand, the old West Stand that was also pictured in When We Bet Our Rivals' Hearts at Easter Road 6-2. Mixu Patalainen hat-trick and Russell Latapi with the screamer goal as well. So that was one of the good days as well. And you've seen how the stadium does transform after the West Stand got demolished and rebuilt. And then in 2010, where they eventually, we said our final goodbyes to the old East Stand. And the last game we played at Easter Road was St Johnstone that day, and basically, you name it, we won that game, obviously. Scottish Championship title in Easter Road. So there was celebrations in Easter Road with the cups a lot. The Scottish League Cup 2007, where you have Lewis Stevenson holding it and celebrating and cheering away. So the CIS Insurance Cup 2007 winners, yes, that got brought into Easter Road, and so did the Scottish Cup when we won it for the first time in 114 years. So yes, there was a lot of celebrations with silverware in Easter Road, 100% over the years. The Skull Cup, you name it. So basically you can see what the club's done over the years, and some very good players that have played in Easter Road over the years. George Best, Famous Five, Gary O'Connor, what's his name now? Derek Ryden, the Hibs Golden Age. A lot's happened in that stadium. A lot of good memories as the years moved on, and Ron Gordon came in, getting the big screens fitted at Easter Road, and HSC put into the new East Stand that we have now, and just a lot's happened, and basically the Hibs hospitality getting ripped out and refurbished, and Ron Gordon done well with that because it looks like he made it look like an American football inside. It looks amazing. History about Hibs, like the first British team to play in Europe, the first British team to have floodlight lighting, and that's what got us qualified for our first European game. So it was great, it was brilliant. That's what helped us get into European football. So a lot of history there at Hibs, and it's a really good stadium. Best atmosphere in Scottish football, especially when Sunshine on Leith gets played. the best stadium I've ever seen in Scottish football, because I'm a Hibs fan. I love it, and yeah, it's been amazing being a Hibs fan, and I've witnessed so much as a Hibs fan, and it's really good that I have, and I respect that, and it's one of the best clubs in Edinburgh, always will be. Nothing can change that. Okay guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe and enable notifications so that you don't miss out, because it will notify you when I upload a video each day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.